So I know in my first in the speech I just gave, I was talking about how we all need to put our phones down and get away from social media. Interact with one another. On a more personal level. With face to face time, and just live a little and just kind of. I was saying, we kind of act like zombies. We just kind of walk around mummified with our face glued to our phone, headphones in our ear. We people chat all day long, but it's staring at a screen. If it comes to asking someone a question in real life, they just kind of freak out because they don't really know how to interact. And that's I've seen a lot of younger people act like that. More nowadays. Not all of them, and but it's just a real common thing. Uh, I guess I don't really use social media. I get on the internet every once in a while for something. Uh, but I can certainly understand why social media, is so much more efficient and understand reasons, why it's good for business. I was looking at a website called social media, or actually it's called socialnetworking.procon.org, and it lists a bunch of reasons, why social media, is an efficient way to be, there's efficient ways for it to be utilized. One such way, is if if somebody needs to spread information very fast, blink of an eye almost, and it'll certainly reach everyone at the same time, or a bigger audience. They can do that through social media, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or whatever, and that's a good way to spread. If there's some kind of breaking news or somebody's missing, or I don't. I guess there's all kinds of different ways it can be used, but that's a good way to reach out to everyone at the same time because social media is definitely ubiquitous. It's just everywhere at the same time. It's never going to go away, and it's only going to continue to increase. So that's a good way to use social media. Another thing is that I think I've even seen some TV shows where law enforcement actually use social media to capture criminals, whether it's through some kind of sting operation, or they can look on someone's Twitter or Facebook, and and those people might be giving away information of things they did because they're stupid. And police, obviously, that's a confession when it's written right there in front of them that somebody's telling their buddy what they did. That might have been breaking the law, so they kind of look on there and they'd probably be surprised at how many people are so dumb that they just kind of give themselves away in that regard. Uh, I think that also social media is probably good for the economy, or it can be, if it's used the right way for business. I was also looking at another factor that I hadn't really thought about, but it really makes sense, and I can see this being something that's really big. Is I saw this on Forbes.com. It's talking about how doctors use social media, to directly interact with their patients, or I guess anybody that may have a question, or if the doctor just wants to give general information, just for any subject or whatever he may specialize in. I guess that's becoming a more popular thing, that a patient or somebody else can reach out and connect with their doctor and ask simple questions, or maybe I don't know, whatever. There's probably a lot of reasons that can be used, and I can see a lot of good in that. Uh, and it's overall, I think social media, like I said, there's a lot of ways people use social media just for a waste of time. Seeing what somebody's celebrity status is on Twitter or whatever they use, or anything else. I think that's all kind of a waste of time. I don't really understand it. I don't really spend a lot of time on any of that stuff. I don't really like to sit down for too long. Sitting in front of the computer is not my idea of enjoyment at all. But I can definitely see how it's good for business. I can see how especially a small business like a locally owned business, whether it's on Facebook or anything like that, how they can reach out, whether it's through coupons or some kind of advertising, to bring in customers that way. And it's a good way to reach out because everybody's on social media, and the word spreads fast. I think it's a good way for businesses to conduct, or build good customer service, because they can probably directly ask customers things, or a customer may be able to tell the business what they think, or make a complaint, or a praise, or whatever. So I can see how that can be very good. Good for the it's a good way for especially a small business. I don't know much, corporations, of course, they use Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff, but everyone knows those. But I think especially more for a small business, it can really help the small business build a reputation if it's utilized in the right way to reach out and show the customers they care and always be accessible. You know, so while I still think people just kind of use social media more and more nowadays, and we just look like a bunch of zombies walking around with our headphones in our ear and our face buried in our cell phone, texting and driving, which shouldn't be done. But when it comes to social media, I do see why it can be a very efficient tool to reach out to people, and a good way to communicate and an efficient way to do business. Especially with our growing technology and the way things are headed, I can definitely see the good in it, and I can definitely see why we're heading that direction. So, like I said, I don't really use social media, but I can definitely see why it's a good tool. And so that's my refutation speech on